Ben Stiller acknowledged Chris Statlander.
What? Oh, the blue steel.
The Zoolander thing, yeah. So I was like, that's awesome.
That is awesome. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio, the only show that, when there's a bunch of scheduling conflicts, comes back to you live Monday nights. Going up not yet head to head, but soon to be head to head with Monday Night Raw. I'm your host, Ryan Knightsing. With me, as always, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, what's up?
See, I thought there was a better kick into it. I wanted you to say the only podcast that says, nah, this AEW show isn't good enough. We won't go live after it. And then gets absolutely dunked on by the AEW show that proceeds to happen.
Both you and I going into that show was totally like, this doesn't look that great. I mean, there's gonna be some good stuff on here, sure. And then they announced Bryan Danielson, and then they have like 5-6 matches in a row that are all really good to great.
CM Punk also gets fired.
Well, we'll get to him.
We made that decision before CM Punk was fired, by the way, folks.
That is accurate. And
we stuck by our guns. You gotta respect it.
Yeah, Bang Bang Club over here, baby.
Gang.
My apologies. I knew I said it wrong.
Guns up.
I knew I said it wrong the moment I started talking. As is my way. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for Ring Post Radio this Monday night. Again, apologies for not doing it on our usual Sunday. We plan to do it on the usual Sunday with the all-out post show, but Scotty had his Labor Day weekend tradition, and that took up time. I had something that came up, so just scheduling kind of just threw nonsense at us. And we sort of had to push things off to Monday. So we apologize for that. But just like with All In last week, I forgot to change the update of the title here. Just like All In last week, this week you get our kind of immediate thoughts with All Out that has taken place last night for AEW. We are not just going to talk about that. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about Payback. We got some news, and I think Scotty, will start off with the most important news of the week, and that is, of course, a legendary wrestler, a wrestler that has some fans but has a lot of detractors as well. Finally, ending their wrestling career, probably, and that is, of course, Tyrus of the NWA.
I know you got someone lined up here.
Tyrus of the NWA, of course, hanging up the old boots in the rafters. And just losing his title. So we'll start there. Of course, the biggest news of the week, Scotty. Thoughts on Tyrus, of course, the biggest news in the wrestling world. What do you think, Scotty?
Good fucking riddance. Listen, I know YouTube, like, you're not supposed to say like a swear within like the first 5 minutes. Too bad. Tyrus deserved it.
Lost our monetization on that one, folks. Yep, that's fine.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry, but Tyrus
please subscribe to patreon.com/countoutpod to make up for Scotty swears.
I want to say though, someone posted the video, a few of him, like, of people clapping for him as he sat there, and I was like, how do we allow this to happen? How do we just let this useless, untalented twit become a world champion and then get a big retirement match? I guess it wasn't that big. Who watched it? But like, though I will say my favorite part about the NWA these days is seeing the cage match comments for Tyrus matches.
Yeah. Yeah, that match was a doozy, right? That match was, oh boy, this man can't move. He looked worse than he usually does.
It has a 1.36, and someone said this match was so bad that I willingly created an account for this service to merely review it, and hopefully after the 7 days rating block, give it the 0.0 that it deserves. Shout out to whoever that was. I was like, that is the greatest comment ever. It's like, I thought this match sucked so bad, I need to make an account.
Yeah. I've been compelled to give my opinion of how bad it was. Wow.
I'm shocked you didn't watch it. I know it's your favorite promotion.
Well, I was busy with the weekend. There was so much
Sure.
wresling that took place in the past.
Sure. Well, that was
48
last
hours.
weekend. You had time.
Can't. Man, I'm so upset that I missed that one. Darn it.
Are we the only podcast that, with all the stuff that happened ever, we still have time for tire slander?
Look, man,
I think if we are,
we
shout out to us.
always got time for the NWA. They're the most historic wrestling promotion in the world. Of course, we got to open up with the biggest news. No, I think we should probably drop the act maybe, and we'll talk about the biggest news, and that is, of course, the firing of AEW's real world champion, Mr. CM Punk. So this was, if you heard our show last week, where we are reacting basically live to the fight as it takes place, a week later, and you have 6, 7, 8 different stories about then what happens, and then you show up to Saturday, and we find out that an investigation that took over a week to, not over a week, but almost a week to take place has come to its conclusion, and that is, of course, the firing of Phil Brooks, CM Punk. I got the little announcements here from AEW. Before I guess I read them, what is your initial thesis statement, initial thoughts about, short, quick thoughts about Phil Brooks, CM Punk officially being fired by AEW?
I'll expand into this after you say like all the stuff, what Tony said and the the letter of firing or statement or whatever they called it.
Sure.
But my little statement is I am very sad, but I'm also very happy that it happened. And I'll leave it at that for now.
And that's coming from you, someone that, not saying that you were a day one well, in a way you were a day one CM Punk fan, but
I've very long been a CM Punk fan. The reason I am doing a podcast is CM Punk's a big part of it.
I think CM Punk's return was like episode 4 of Ring Post Radio, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was special.
Yeah,
get that Vince video that people post. It was special. No, it was special, and I'll give my full thoughts after.
Sure. Well,
go through the absolute barrage of news to get to this point.
So the following statement was released Saturday afternoon by AEW, and it reads, and of course, in our usual gimmick, Scotty, whenever you want me to stop, just yell out stop. AEW has terminated the wrestler and employment agreements between Phillip Brooks, CM Punk, and AEW with cause effective immediately. Perfect. I was going to stop myself too. Go ahead.
So the main thing I want to say is to everyone that's listening. So you know how Ryan said I had like the big event that I have every year?
Your Labor Day weekend tradition?
I didn't learn he was fired until like 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. Until way after everyone else knew about it.
Everyone needs to know like the slap in the face that I took, that I was like, huh?
I texted you
like,
about I texted you about what we were doing of Ring Post Radio. I was like, oh, and of course the CM Punk news. And you were like, and then
I was like, I just learned about this maybe 2 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to put that out there that I was very behind. Not that it shocked me or anything. It was just like that I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
The whole day. The thing that arguably we've been waiting a year for. Continue.
I'm going to stop myself as well and bring up the statement of 2 interesting things to talk about. I think here are wrestler and employment agreements. I think are interesting phrases there. That is, the agreements, of course, multiple, not just a wrestler. He's also an employee, employment agreement. So he's not an independent contractor.
Take that, WWE. AEW still dunked on you in firing CM Punk.
That I think, what the multiple deals CM Punk signed with AEW is still up in the air. But it definitely provides credence into that statement from Brawl Out a year ago of, we're trying to build a business here. And everyone, there was that theory going around of, does he have a stake in the company or does he all this stuff? Firing him with the wrestling and employment agreements are very interesting. The other thing I want to take note, of course, is AEW with cause. So they fired him with cause. They had legal reason to fire him. If for whatever
There's
reason.
conversation to be had that they've had reason for
There,
a while.
there's seemingly reason maybe for the past year or so with this guy, but at the very least, they're arguing that within legal reason, they have just cause to fire him. If CM Punk disagrees with that for any reason, that will be a court document to follow. The deliberation of cause. I think what we've learned throughout the week that there's good cause, but we'll get more into that. More on this statement is that the termination was, of course, confirmed today by Tony Khan, CEO, General Manager, and Head of Creative of AEW. The termination follows a week-long internal investigation of an incident occurring backstage at AEW All in London. Following an investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee, a famous committee for AEW, met and later convened with outside legal counsel before making a unanimous recommendation to Khan that CM Punk to be terminated with cause. Khan offered the following statement. Quote, Phil played an important role within AEW, and I thank him for his contributions. The termination of his AEW contracts with cause was ultimately my decision and mine alone. Well, despite the committee and legal counsel. Of course, I wish I did not have to share this news, which may come as a disappointment to many of our fans. Nevertheless, I am making a decision in the best interest of the many amazing people who make AEW possible every week, our talent, staff, venue operators, and others whose efforts are unsung but essential to bringing our great shows on television and at arena and stadiums throughout the world. Any more thoughts on that statement and that publication from AEW, Scotty?
Had to happen.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week, and I said I think we all know what the right outcome, like the outcome that makes the most sense.
The conversation we really had last week was like not necessarily that this guy should be fired, but more of like, will he be fired?
Yeah. I don't know. I want to save it because there's just so much that has come out overall about it.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that part. So,
yeah,
overall, like I don't know if I said at the top of the show or whatever, that 6 or 7 stories came out. Different variations of stories have come out, and a bunch of other news beyond.
We got all the camps.
From all the camps, even the neutral camps. There's a sliding scale of campage over here. Even stories have come out not about the fight, but about travel, but about other backstage news from a year ago with William Regal. Other backstage news. One. Yeah, other WWE.
Which, by the way, CM Punk was right.
in hindsight, he was right about that one. But news about him potentially going to WWE in December of last year, which was going to be impossible because he's under contract. But a lot of different news. I don't necessarily want to go through every single news bit because that's impossible. But I really just want to ask you, Scotty, what are on all the story of what happened? And it feels like, to really filter everything down, it feels like the story of the fight is Jack Perry, of course, said words on air that upset Punk. He seemingly started the fight. The fight got real bad that other people were put in danger. One of those people seemingly put in danger, who at least saw the fight and potentially was way worse, apparently worse than lunged at, was Tony Khan. Words were exchanged. The match was almost dropped completely. But Samoa Joe was able to get him back in the ring. And the Elite were going to be that backup match, but that ended up not panning out, obviously. So there's a lot to it. So basically, CM Punk seemingly went on a rampage, baby, backstage on...
No matter what, he kicked Jack Perry's ass. That is
he seemingly has kicked Jack Perry's ass.
And hit Jack Perry.
Yes.
Got in a fight. That's like the one thing that's like, I know this is true.
Yes.
You know how I know this is true? Because both camps have confirmed that.
A singular fact is CM Punk started this fight physically through the first whatever. And the other fact, I think, is Tony Khan saw the fight. So that's basically probably the most distilled version of the fight I could give you. But just talking about all the news, I mean, a wave of emotions, I think, this week for wrestling fans all over the world What are you thinking about all this stuff?
I think ultimately it was a heavy week because it's like there's just this continued bad light shined upon AEW. That's the way I look at it at the end of the day. Like, yeah, I am a CM Punk fan, and I have been for a very long time. But this headache has gone on too long. I was all for giving him one more shot. I was. I've been on this podcast and I said it. But one more shot became two more, three more, four more, five more, six more. Talent relations wasn't even, or, Christopher Daniels not even allowed to show up to the other show. Like things like that, it was getting ridiculous. And then you get physical with another person, and whoever's in danger, your boss sees it. That's terms of termination in any business on the spot. Now, I said on the show last week that Jack Perry's got to suffer some sort of consequence as well, because, as I said, he said it for a reason. It's like he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. I don't know if he, thought in the moment it would be
This
what finally got
this
CM
bad.
Punk out of the company,
Sure.
but maybe he did. And if he did, bravo to him, I guess.
Should be noted that Jack Perry, as of right now, suspended
Yeah.
indefinitely is the phrase that Tony Khan has
Right.
used.
Right.
No
So
idea of when he's going to come back.
whatever that may be, I guess that is a proper punishment. Maybe there's more. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe there's a fine. We don't know. We won't know that unless he's fired, which I highly doubt. Mostly because it sounds like he's the one that didn't. He just didn't fight. Really, I guess he just kind of got put in a head. He shoved him. Maybe that's all they said. Shoved him back, I should say. But in the end, and I'm going to just kind of dive into where I'm at overall on this, is that the reason I said I'm very sad, but I'm also very happy, is because this was a black cloud that feel like that pretty much has been over AEW, dating back to, and we didn't know this at the time, but really dating back to the first time he got injured after Double or Nothing. Right? Because it forced them to change all these plans, and, you have to have an interim champion and all this stuff. Fast forward to All Out 2022. It's been a year of, without a doubt, black cloud over this company. How do you bounce back from something like this when the guy's still under contract? You're not there's nothing coming out about it. The other half of this is suspended in your most important part of your company, arguably, outside of maybe John Moxley. It's like, I think for a lot of AEW fans, they were starting to fall out of the company they loved. And a lot of it did have to do with, and I'm not saying it's all because of CM Punk. There's just, they've made other booking decisions and changes to their product overall, right? You see a little more sports entertainment in their product and stuff like that for sure. But ultimately, I do think it comes down to Punk and the rumors and the fights and
Just
the physicality.
the eggshells that everyone's
Yeah, it's
backstage
like
on.
it almost feels like people can be them, like certain wrestlers are going to get to be themselves again.
I'll say Young Bucks or two of those
The
people.
Young Bucks, yeah, they did it within seconds. Hangman Page. I mean, I said, I may have said it last week. If not, this was to someone off of there. But I said that my line for Punk kind of gets drawn at Hangman Page because I've never seen anything bad about this guy ever. So
Mhm.
like the fact that you have a problem with him is because he said one thing. Like, dude, that's what we do. It's like that's what you do. And you and me had this conversation. Like you said, you brought up how Hangman Page said what he said on air once, and you weren't comparing, but we were just talking about how Jack Perry then did something like
I
that.
I was defending, the context is I was defending Jack Perry and sort of saying I don't think you'll get like fire or anything like that, just because
Yeah, yeah,
people saying stuff, especially like within this company, giving promos, all that
always.
stuff, that realism is so important. It happened in the company. Even like stuff that isn't like used for realism, like Eddie Kingston promos, but stuff,
Yeah,
lines like Adam Page's line against CM
yeah,
Punk, CM Punk's response line to that.
Right.
Even like there are multiple moments throughout the history of AEW of people
Mhm.
saying backstage political
Yeah.
nonsense on
Yeah.
air.
Yeah, the only reason I think it's different from what Hangman did. We didn't know what Hangman said at the time was a big deal,
Yes,
right? We were like, "All right, whatever." When Jack Perry said it, we were like,
we knew what
like
this is.
I remember when he said it, I was like, "Here we go." Like, and I was right. I
Mhm.
was right. I was like, "Yeah, something was gonna happen," and it did. Um, but back to my original point, like the problem with Hangman that always bothered me because I've always been a Hangman Page fan. I like one of my first like main articles I ever wrote when I got into all this was like a 3,000 word article on Hangman and why he was going to be great for AEW.
Mhm.
Nailed that one. Uh, but so like I've always been a fan of him. That always bothered me. But ultimately, like back to the main point.
Yeah.
There's been a cloud over this company for a year, and it took a year after that first fight to finally not get rid of, because I understand why they kept CM Punk, top merch seller, you know, big draw,
Mhm.
and then the draw factor has lost its luster,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But he still did a lot of good things money wise for them,
Yeah.
right?
He was no
Uh,
longer the huge draw that he was pre-brawl out.
right, but the
The
merch sales alone,
Sure.
like that matters. I mean, Danhausen is hired to this company. I have not seen this guy on TV in months, but
He's
he is
in
a
to be
big
fair,
time
he's
merch
injured.
seller.
To be fair, he is injured.
I know, but like his half his act is just
Yeah.
showing up on TV and doing something. It's
Agreed.
like
Agreed.
other injured people have made their way on TV. I'm not
Uh,
I'm not sitting here asking for Danhausen. I'm just making a point.
yes.
But I understood the reasons to keep him, but I also understood it has to be a strike policy because at the end of the day, he started a fight with your other top act. It became one of the biggest stories in wrestling. If Vince McMahon hadn't retired in 2022, no, it doesn't matter anymore. But had he not left, that would have been easily the biggest story of the year, right? And biggest story of the past, decade really is, two top acts fight and things go down, they get suspended. That just sent AEW down a tumble, right? They were tumbling. It's like the snowball effect. Everything's just adding and adding. And there were some bright spots here and there over the past year. We've talked about them. MJF's a big one,
Sure.
obviously.
Mhm.
He's just an overall bright spot, but it hasn't felt like AEW.
No. For a
And there
full
are
year.
times
For a
with
full
CM
year.
Punk in the system
Mhm.
that AEW feels like AEW. I'm not saying this is a CM Punk problem forever, but once Brawl Out happened, it has been.
I talked about it last week. I've talked about it on Twitter, not X, Twitter. The the moment All Out ends, the moment the media scrum begins is the moment of a new era for me, and that is the
Yeah,
era I've described as growing pains.
yeah,
Uh, this company has grown massively in the past year. Brand new television deal, a new video game. CM Punk, all these pay-per-view sales, All In, Wembley, all this other stuff has grown massively. With it has come a lot of different things. You have the hiring of a bajillion producers. That's
yeah,
a growing pain. There's good things about that. There's bad things about it. And then also the most obvious thing is CM Punk. CM Punk is a draw for the company, but he comes with a lot of baggage, as that
yeah,
was made very clear. And this is sort of like you said, there was a sort of dark cloud over the past year on this company, and now that he is being fired, there is something being lifted. He's done great things for the company, and I think we I couldn't believe it was like that meme of like this just in, someone made a someone you don't like made a great point. uh
yeah,
it was like Booker T made the great point of that CM Punk's downfall really in this company is that he expected respect
yeah.
without earning the respect within this company.
Hmm.
Obviously there are people, you come in with a certain amount, but you have to re-earn it, especially for someone that's been gone for so long. And I think
Yeah,
that was a lot of part of it. And that, the whole thing of like Adam Page and CM Punk, that whole sort of system was sort of like, oh, he doesn't listen and take advice from the older people. It's like, Well, yeah, because he does respect you, but you've been gone from the business for 7 years. What you know and what founded this company are wildly different thoughts of how wrestling should work. How this
Right.
company exists, it does not exist. This company wouldn't have existed if there was a desire for a new thing, and the elite and New Japan and all this other stuff in the indies were giving the new thing. That's what this company was founded on. And now that Punk is gone, despite all the good things he has done for the company, so people, I think, even if you lose a draw, you've gained so much seemingly in morale backstage that is going to be so beneficial moving forward, because now we can all move on. Seemingly all of us move on. There might be two people in the roster that are still a little upset about it, but
I'm
that's
sure
their
there's
thing.
more than two.
I'm sure there's more than two. There's two that are definitely making it apparent on screen. But yeah, no, but I think it's like, whether or not this is the start of a new era for AEW remains to be seen. But I have to think it's very likely. I think with Punk gone, that was the takeaway from last night's All Out. Was Punk's gone. It seems like, there was a little bit of like CM Punk nonsense, but the crowd never took over. And a lot of people walked away saying that this felt like old AEW. And that's what you want. That is what you want. And if they can continue that trend, they're back. And that's all they need.
Yeah. Just a few more things about Punk. I still think that 1 year in
The first year?
his first year in, so right before All Out to pretty much right before Brawl Out. I think that was as good as it could have went outside of the injury, obviously. The MJF feud's still my favorite feud in AEW history. I just think that was so well done and got to MJF to another stratosphere. And it's a shame they're never going to get to go back to it, because that was the plan all along.
Agreed.
Both this year and last year, that was always the plan.
Yep.
And we just never could get there. But he did a lot of great things in the little time he was actually around.
Yeah. Let's try to be fair with CM Punk. What are some of the great things that he was able to do with this company? Number one, the All Out 2022 pay-per-view buy rate.
Yeah.
I would 100%.
That whole show.
100% put that on Punk.
That's still my number one AEW show ever.
Yeah. The great show, but I think, the interest of Punk was so high.
Yeah, the interest of Punk, and then they came through at the end with just things they knew it was going to be their biggest night, and they took advantage of it.
Agreed. Do we give him Collision? It seems like that second show was going to happen from Warner Brothers, and it just was like, oh, perfect, we'll put Punk over here.
Yeah, like I don't think I could give him full call for that, but he obviously helped lift it off.
Yeah. And I think he helped, if anything, defined what Collision looked like.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
I'll say, I think part of that probably does come from his original run with Rampage, right? The First Dance, obviously. He did a lot of great stuff on there in his first few, month or two. Like, he was wrestled on there every week in great matches.
He provided such a ratings bump that first year, especially. Seemingly lost that luster a little bit after Brawl Out.
He was on TV. Oh, after Brawl Out. I mean, even when he came back.
Yeah.
The first for the month, whatever he was back.
Elevating MJF. We'll say that. Elevating MJF.
Absolutely.
Who else did he elevate beyond MJF? That's not me being mean.
I would say Eddie. Him and Eddie, like that mini feud did a lot for Eddie.
Agreed.
But that's probably it.
I think Eddie would have gotten there, but Punk certainly got him there faster.
Absolutely. He didn't have that many main feuds.
No, and especially this Collision run was like in 7 feuds happening.
He was in 7 feuds at once.
And the one he wanted to do, the other side didn't. So
I'll give him credit though. Bang Bang Gang. He made them a important part of that show. And now arguably they're the best group going right now,
There's a potential argument that I don't know the truth behind, that he probably helped Jay White come to AEW. You know,
Oh,
he was there live as Jay White had his last match in New Japan against Eddie
He
Kingston,
was.
and I'm sure there was other people that went to bat for Jay White, but I'm sure that he
I
was.
think Vince McMahon did a lot of help in getting Jay White to AEW.
I agree, but I imagine he was a voice in the room. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are the main parts.
Yeah, and then
Which MJF might be the most important one.
and I agree. And I agree. Contrasting to that, you know, the whole a year of bad press.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad.
Yeah. And I don't want to like make it a whole pity party for the guy, but it is like, yeah, I am glad that he is gone. I would
split the audience. That's the biggest one to me.
He split the audience, not just between the elite and him and his camp, but also split like Collision versus Dynamite and the Colliders, and split his audience there even more.
Yeah,
you know,
and continuously did that on purpose.
Yep. CM Punk's first year was great. His brawl out to the second year was so awkward and bad and so distracting that it was
focus on the wrestling.
Yeah, and what his view of what AEW should be, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't what ultimately, as we may have seen moving forward, at least with All Out last night, seemingly, you know, isn't what AEW is. And I think, as we've seen for the past year, a lot of people were losing that luster and losing that light. And hopefully it changes. I'm not necessarily sure. I don't think losing Punk is going to rapidly change the Adam Cole MJF storyline. But
no, but that's the most successful storyline, so why would they change it?
Exactly. That's successful.
You know,
whether or not I'm fully into it is one thing, but it is what it is.
I will say this. AEW has 2 chapters now complete. They have chapter 1, Life Before Punk, which was the opening, the creation, pretty much a 2-year span for each, by the way. Yep. You know, start with All Out 1. I know Double or Nothing and Fyter Fest. Those don't matter. Yeah. Right? All Out to 2020, first All Out to 2021. You have opening, you have COVID, you pretty much have like a lot of things that can go wrong, but you create a base to build off of. Yep. Now you are at one point. How can you go to that next level?
Yep.
They brought in CM Punk.
Yep.
That first year of CM Punk, as we've been saying, incredible numbers all around.
It boosted the business immensely.
Top pay-per-view buy rate. They ran the United Center. They sold out the United Center.
Yep.
That's a big deal. They just did so many great things that first year. Second year, we know we've been talking about it, went off the track. So that's Life with Punk. And now we're starting with All Out yesterday. We're in Life After Punk. What is that chapter going to be?
Yeah, I was about to think. The nice thing about losing Punk is you were scheduled to pay him millions upon millions of dollars probably for the next however long.
Yeah.
And now, seemingly he had no severance or anything because of that. Because of his firing of calls and all that stuff. He's out of so much money. You just had millions of dollars free up in your bank account for the next several years. What do you put that into? Obviously, I would guess Final Countdown from last night. But, I tweeted this out. Like, there are 2 to 3 arguably high-profile free agents seemingly on the market within the month or so. Or a couple months, within the couple months. You got, of course, Will Ospreay has already teased coming into this company. I think that's extremely high, but that's not happening till January, February. You had Adam Copeland, Edge, who's seemingly free agent with the whole Christian angle.
His price tag just went up with Collision wide open.
Yeah, you would think his price tag has gone a little up. Now, there's the thing with him is that he's not as much of a ratings draw, and WWE sort of proved that, but there's some value.
He might be for an AEW audience.
That's true. That is definitely true. And we'll see if they wanted to bring him. That's what it is. And also, it's like at this point in his age, he's not going to be he's going to be what Christian is, which is kind of like a mentor, wrestle some matches, but he's not a full-time wrestler sort of thing. And that's certainly possible.
Yeah.
And then there's the third free agent that I can think of, and that's Mercedes Moné, seemingly also
unique free agent.
uniquely
She
free
does
agent.
have a contract.
Correct. But
so much so that New Japan paid for her to go to Wembley.
Exactly. But seemingly was going to be in this company with 2 matches under her belt at this point in an alternate universe.
Yeah.
So one would think whenever this New Japan Bushi Road contract comes up, maybe she goes back to AEW, or not goes back, but goes to AEW. You know what I mean? Something where seemingly she was going to be in this company, but you just have a bunch of money free up. You can potentially
people, I think 2 of those people were probably going to be here with or without CM Punk, but yes.
Agreed. But then
helps though.
But also at the same time, you also have a new TV contract deal that he might get even more money next year.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and what's also very interesting about life after CM Punk, and we're already sort of seeing it with these collision posters, is now that a top person on the card is gone, you need to fill that with new talent, and that new talent is gonna be good. Jay White can immediately bump up there. I would even say Orange Cassidy can bump up there now, especially after last night.
There's 2 options to me.
And give me those options.
Jay White, obviously. And you put Hangman Page back in his spot.
Agreed. I think that could also work.
And then you can make other stars. But here's the, to me, the best thing about this. And maybe I don't know like how people feel about this anymore, because WWE for so long had the face of the company, right? And now more, Roman's there, but outside of Roman, it's more of the brand with a bunch of wrestlers rather than a face of the company scenario. And I think that's what benefits AEW more. With no more CM Punk, neither show now has a face of the show, face of the company type thing, right? And I think that's probably beneficial to the whole roster, because now you can hopefully build people up. You need to build people up, because at the end of the day, I mean, 2, 3, 4 of your main stars they're not young, Bryan Danielson's not young. He's hinted at retirement multiple times now.
Bryan Danielson consistently broken. Kenny Omega currently telling a story about how his wheels are practically falling off,
Yeah. Can't wait for him to be champion. The Young Bucks have talked about retirement, but they just signed new deals, so it's not that big.
True. Chris Jericho, he's up there in age, and he's
Chris Jericho should be slowing down.
But he seemingly always finds a way to not slow down.
He is still good in the ring.
Correct.
I just like some of his stories. I just want to,
Yeah, and that's fair.
No.
But a lot of your top guys,
that's wrestling.
Basically what we're saying is a lot of the guys who started with AEW as a business are currently slowing down and or doing storylines about how they're slowing down,
or are now gone,
straight up gone to another brand.
Cody,
gone but not forgotten.
Gone.
So yeah, it frees up the card, and it frees up the talent, and it is just a matter of the morale's better, and it is just a matter of who can you fill up those slots with, who can you make new stars out of, and that is something that the creative machine of AEW is going to have to put work into. This is a real. I think let's talk about that creative aspect too. A real possible divergent point in what AEW's direction could be is its creative following CM Punk's loss. Are they going to go back to the old AEW feel and go for that feeling, or are they going to go continue more into the sort of that sports entertainment-esque realm sort of gimmick?
I think there's a perfect medium that gets AEW more eyes.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because to me, that should still be the goal, is making new fans. Yes, you want to cater to the ones you already have,
of course,
but you got to make new fans too. You need more eyes on the product at all times.
Yep.
And to me, Chapter 1, as I said, Life Before Punk, that's all about the elite, Cody, Kenny, the Young Bucks. That they were kind of the faces of that.
Yeah.
Hangman's story was essentially the face of that entire first 2 years. Second was Punk.
Yep.
Even when he wasn't here.
A short
It was still
chapter,
Punk.
a short chapter, but CM Punk's chapter nonetheless.
And there's a over, and I'll say the big one of kind of connects all the dots. But and the third one, I'm gonna guess this new one is gonna be MJF.
Possibly, yeah.
It probably has to be MJF
Mhm,
because it feels like they have banked on him to be their next big baby face all
mhm.
of a sudden, which he clearly is going to be because he's just succeeding in every way, ratings wise, merch sale wise, reaction wise. Like they have it, and I think it's going to be him. But Ryan,
Yeah,
in the end, who's the biggest of them all in all three? John Moxley. So they're fine no matter what, as long as they have John Moxley.
I agree. The guy you always put him on, the ace of New Japan, not New
Yeah.
Japan, ace of AEW.
That's kind of how I look at it. Like, oh yeah, you're the face for this chapter, you're the face, and then there's John Moxley, the face
Who's
of all of them.
yeah, who's the top guy in all of this?
You need a guy? Oh, you need a big match? John Moxley's got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what happens next. And I think that's the most intriguing part of all this. Obviously, there are so many different feelings and thoughts about CM Punk's firing that are interesting. One of them being Tony Khan's comments made right prior to Collision's
Mm.
airing. And I believe the comments were, if I'm not mistaken, saying that the firing of CM Punk was, quote, one of the toughest decisions in my personal career. And I think he also goes on to say the incident was regrettable and endangered people backstage. That includes the production staff who put the show on every week, innocent people who had nothing to do with it. And I think the biggest quote that people were talking about, some people weirdly up in arms about the whole thing. Quote, I've been going to wrestling shows for over 30 years. I've been producing them on this network for 4 years. Never in all that time have I ever felt until last Sunday that my security, my safety, my life was in danger at a wrestling show. I don't feel anyone should feel that way at work. I don't think the people I work with should feel that way, and I had to make a very difficult choice today. Some other news about the investigation that has come out as well is that the reason the investigation took so long, which was weird because, Tony Khan was there. What investigation are you doing? Was seeming that it wasn't just about it wasn't just a conversation investigation about the fight. Seemingly, it was an investigation about how Tony Khan and co getting testing the waters of how everyone has felt about AEW pre CM Punk, during CM Punk, and potentially post CM Punk, and getting the vibe check from his entire locker room individually, seemingly, about what we can do. How do you feel about all this stuff? What can we do to make it better? And seemingly has come, and that, not seemingly, but that conclusion coming to the firing, of course, of CM Punk. So I'm kind of glad that he. I'm very immediately. My question is him saying that my life was in danger. This guy went to ECW shows as a kid. I guess he never always knew that was a show and he was never in real harm or anything. Maybe, but it was ECW in Philly. But at the same time, like, what the frick happened with CM Punk lunging at Tony Khan, where he felt his life was in danger? What truly happened there? That's a fascinating thing. And then there's just the vibe check from the locker room of how do they feel about all this Punk stuff. And surely that locker room feeling was eggshells, probably. We have to walk on eggshells. I just want to come to work and not deal with all this bullshit. And probably either people being very upset about the bullshit or being upset that the fact that there is bullshit that they have to deal with. And just getting rid of it seemingly will be good for everyone involved. So we'll see how it turns out, but I'm definitely interested.
My overall opinion on that was I'm happy they had a video that said something.
Yeah,
Because to me, I didn't like how it was handled last year. I knew there were suspensions and he couldn't talk about it, but just kind of like acting like CM Punk and the Elite disappeared from the face of the earth was like
yeah.
really weird to me.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the video that much. That also seemingly, I would have to guess, played a part in this firing. Is that there is video? In a locker room. In a locker room, there is video, unless it's Brandon Cutler cam. But there was seemingly video of this actual fight. That is, you bring that to court, you have stuff as evidence. That's huge. It's not. It's no brawl out was. He said, they said, he said, sort of thing. Here it is. There are so many people, and there's cameras that documented the whole thing. That's
Yeah,
a that's a tough spot.
to me the video aspect probably is like, all right, we can't keep doing this. You know, it's like
Yeah,
we don't have an answer to this anymore. Um,
yeah.
but
It's very interesting.
yeah,
Well, let's talk about some other news as well before we get to All Out. And that was, I just want to talk about this because I'm sure you may or may not have any know, because I definitely want to know about it. But we've heard rumors about this taking place for a very long while, and it has now been officially announced. Sukeban, I believe is how it's pronounced, is the name of the new American Joshi promotion that is set to debut this month, September 21st, in New York, at the Capitol in Manhattan. This is the promotion that everyone's been hearing about, of being a new American Joshi promotion and bringing in a bunch of Joshi talent over from Japan, but also having a very strong anime influence on the product. They have a social media account and everything. They released a trailer where you can definitely get that anime presence across.
was it the anime that gave it away?
Maybe that might have been it. That might have been it for sure. And also announced a lot of the roster and the different factions and characters their roster are playing. No one knows anything about this company beyond that, which is never really. There's no face of this company in any real way. But beyond all that, what do you think about this new American Joshi promotion? And will you be there in New York City, Scotty Edwards?
Um, Not yet. I mean, if they come out with more tickets, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
They sold out very quickly.
Yes.
I was more on the beat on that one. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get all this information out within the next. I don't know. It took me a while. There was a lot going on.
Oh yeah. I saw the announcements via at Scott E Wrestling.
Yeah, if everyone wanted to see like what they look like and everything, I
Mm-hmm.
had you covered.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, I'm gonna say it's exciting, and I'm gonna say it's like I don't know what to expect. Like the anime part has me like, okay,
Yeah.
but you got a hell of a roster. I'll give you that. They put together pretty much the best freelancers possible in the Joshi scene for this show.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Saori Inu, Risa Nakajima, Miyuki Takase, uh, you, Riko Kaiju, Tomoka Inaba, who's behind the mask.
Spoilers.
There's a few people behind the mask. Maya Kihi, Unagi Sayaka. List goes on and on and on. It is an exciting possibility. I'm hoping that they air this in some form because, like, I feel like the anime aspect, you probably need this to be televised, or we're gonna miss like half of it. It's like if you go to a live show, how much of the anime feel are you gonna get, or are you
Yeah.
just gonna watch the matches, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, like the perfect world for this, if they have the anime aspect and like they have all the anime animations, is like you have like anime, I guess, to tell the story for English audiences, and then the wrestlers wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I mean, some of the costumes are ridiculous, so I have no idea what they're gonna do. But it's interesting. I got the press release and I was like, "How did you get my email?" I was like, "All right, cool." But I think it can be something, and that, folks, is better than nothing.
Yeah, so the press release, it does talk about their debut show, their world premiere, is happening on the 21st of September. They will be in the main event. It will be. I'm not gonna say their.
It's Unagi versus Saori.
Yeah, I was not gonna say their fake names. Unagi Sayaka and Saori Anu, with the winner of that match competing for the Sukeban World Championship at their second event at some point in the coming weeks. They do not announce, as far as I can tell in this press release, how you can watch it if you're not there live. But they do announce that along with the wrestlers added, they will have several elements that will make the event unique, which include, of course, the championship belt, which is a unique element to this promotion, seemingly. Wrestler costumes and all merchandise designed by a person. So they have costumes and merchandise Cool. Hats. All right. Fingernail art. And of course, anime and manga. So, no idea where you can watch it, but seemingly there'll be a way to watch it some point announced. I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably Fight. But we'll freaking, I guess, find out whatever's happening with this promotion.
This has been in the works for a couple of years.
Do you know anything about it beyond what? I don't know if you can say, but if you know anything about this promotion beyond what has been press released?
I heard about it about a year ago. I never heard the name. Obviously, I would have said the name to someone if I heard the name. But it is something that had seriousness behind it, which to me was the most meaningful thing. And I've had people ask me, like, well, what is it? I was like, I don't know. Like, they have former Bushiroad execs connected. They have a lot of, I think this is important. They have a lot of talent that is connected to Stardom, taking part, including current Goddesses of Stardom champion Saori Ano.
Yep, in the main event. In the main event of the first show.
In the main event. So something tells me this is a hunch now, but I think they probably have a decent relationship at least, because again, they're using a lot of people that they've used. We'll wait and see, because freelancers can do whatever they want, but I don't know. It's one of those things that you're just gonna have to see, and if it all can work out, because anime is huge here, in America. So like, this might be their way to make Joshi work as like a promotion. It's sold out. I don't know what the venue size is. They're selling tickets. Front row tickets are like $100, so they were like selling for a good price. I wonder if they sold maybe smaller and they're gonna release more tickets. That's always possible, but I don't know. It's exciting. The trailer was really well made.
Yeah, that's the question with all the anime stuff. Is like, what is that? Is it also is it a taping?
Right. So it's like we're gonna tape, then we're gonna put the show together, then air it.
Yeah.
With all the anime stuff. I was like, that would make sense.
The Capitol in New York looks like a beautiful venue on the inside. Very high, beautiful ceilings, but like, I don't know, 100 people maybe.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's not gonna be packed. Yeah, we'll wait and see. That's where I'm at.
I think you're right that if there's any way to get Joshi extremely into America, not through AEW, I guess, this could be the route. And if anything, I think the swing that they're trying to hit, the home run swing that they're trying to hit, I'm going to guess is like a Lucha Underground-esque promotion in the States.
Yeah, I think the best comparison I saw was Lucha Underground mixed with like Chikara.
Sure, yeah.
And Joshi. Chikara is probably like a lot of the name changes and stuff more than anything. It's like, here's our kayfabe characters.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll see what happens there, I guess. Well, let's get into it. Before we get into it, I just want to do a quick plug, a little sort of kind of commercial break here. And that is, of course, for our Patreon, patreon.com/countoutpod. We got a bunch of fun stuff on there for $5 a month. I want to do this plug now before I forget it, because I'm thinking about it. I started a new series called The Great Birthday Bash, and that is where I will go through various friends in podcasting and go look at the history of some very important or fun wrestling matches throughout the history of time, I guess, but only wrestling matches that took place on someone's birthday. So I had that first episode that was all matches that took place on my birthday, June 26th. That included like Inoki Muhammad Ali. That included Batista versus Triple H for the world title, and that big feud that took place in 2000s. About a bunch of different stuff. And talking about sort of the history starting matches and whatnot. I'm going to do this sort of intermittently with a bunch of people, but definitely go check that out. There's a new series for that. Plus, I think what we're going to do is that because of all the new like Spotify stuff, and like now you can listen to it and apply to all these things. Spotify doesn't allow you to listen to things that are videos, and you and I for Ring Post Radio have a lot of videos of Ryan Hasn't Seen Anything, our Patreon series there with watch-alongs and whatnot. That's on the $5 tier, and what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about converting all that to audio as well, so that you can listen along if you like, because it is a listen along, watch along series. And I think what I'm gonna do is have those listens along be on the $3 tier, the cheaper tier, so that you can be able to listen to all that stuff on all the tiers just by joining the Patreon on patreon.com/countpod. But you'll be able to hear the listen along. And if you wanted to watch the match and not even bother looking it up, or for whatever reason, watch our faces, you can get that on the $5 tier. But again, subscribe to patreon.com/countpod. And watch all of our great series, and not just from us, from Ring Post Radio, but from Okada Shorts and their series, Drop Your Shorts, Your Dose of Death, and maybe one of those days I'll finally convince Scotty to come up with an idea for Stardom Road. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah,
I can barely get one episode out at a time.
I know. But yes, so we'll go again, patreon.com/counterpod. There's a bunch of fun stuff on there, so go check that out and support all of us here on the Countout Network. All right, let us get to All Out. Of course,
the reason you're all here.
The reason you're all here, beyond CM Punk.
It's only been an hour.
It's only been an hour. All Out took place last night, of course, in Chicago, Illinois, at the United Center. I don't think
not happening next year.
Well,
Tony Khan couldn't have wink nudge more than if he tried.
That's true. So let's get to it. I think we'll just. Do you want to just go in order here?
Yeah, I mean, I watched everything. I think you have to start with 0 Hour just because who won the battle.
Yes, well, I'll talk about 0 Hour in the sense of just sort of grouping it all together.
Yeah,
and that is, of course, we got 0 Hour. We had the over budget charity battle royale, where basically the winner of it gave $50,000, I think it was, to a charity of their choosing. And the winner of that battle royal was, of course, Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, another battle royal winner there. There was also a 6-man tag team match. Hikaru Shida, Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale defeating the team of Athena, Diamante, and Mercedes Martinez. And then the AEW World Trios title was also on the line. No longer a semi-main event from London to the main event of the pre-show. Billy Gunn and the Acclaim defending their titles with Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh, with Dennis Rodman in the corner of the Acclaimed. So what do you think about this 0 Hour that we watched?
I saw someone say it was like a normal episode of Rampage, and I was like, that is a great shout.
So a battle royal, a women schmaz fest, and then like a weird title match that didn't really matter.
Yeah, I was like, that you nailed that one. Battle royal, I mean, Hangman Page winning. that is a good sign. That is a start. I said after that match ended, I said, now this has to be the last time we're putting Hangman Adam Page on a pre-show. No more of that. He needs to be on the main shows. Please and thank you. I know the women's match was pretty solid. This is like the simplest thing to do. Put 6 of your top women in a match, and it's gonna work. They did it on Collision too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be the greatest thing ever, but you know what? It's gonna be probably better than some random Britt Baker singles match. Okay,
and you'll get some interesting stuff like Athena Hikaru Shida had some.
That got a great reaction. Yeah. That's all I'm looking for. So check success there. Very simple. I'll take it. And the Acclaimed tag, the trios run is going to be tough for me. It's going to be tough for me. I was like, this is.
Immediately, I've already learned that trio title run was about the destination and not the journey of being champions.
Yeah. Between this match and the Collision match, I was like, all right, there you go. I was like, what? I'm looking for trios that could beat them.
I watched this match and then immediately looked around the room and was like, where's LFI? Where's Roosh? Where's Drilistico?
I was like, what? I can't believe I'm asking for Preston Vance to be champion.
I'll take a Preston Vance, man. I'll take him.
We say it's all about the destination, but it's like the destination was painful to get to.
That's fair. It's I'm more interested in LFI destroying Billy Gunn and him doing a stretcher job at this point and winning those titles. That's what I want.
Yeah. I will say, and this is for the overall show, my favorite thing that had nothing to do with the wrestling was them changing the commentary team throughout the night.
Sure. Yeah.
I liked that a lot. I liked getting the different voices. I think Nigel was just on there the whole night, which I liked.
Uh-huh.
Nigel and Excalibur on there the whole night. Then you had Kevin Kelly switch in. He was at the start. You had Jim
Taz.
Ross,
Yep.
Tony Schiavone, maybe eventually.
Yep. Ricky the Dragon
And then
Steamboat.
Taz. Yes. Oh, he was bad, but yeah.
Well, to be fair,
he wasn't. He wasn't a talker. He wasn't a talker. You know.
I would have to say, if I, by the way, Excalibur, Kevin Kelly, Nigel McGuinness, I think they are my favorite group of commentary.
See, someone's not making a funny comment for me to pop though, like Taz does. So Taz gets me every single show.
Can I do my hot take? Is this the day I unveil my hot take?
You hate Taz.
I don't hate Taz. I'm just over it.
I love Taz.
I'm over the joking at the commentary table from Taz. And it's like I get it. I get why people like it. It's just like I don't necessarily want like my main event to have Taz cracking jokes the entire time. And that's frustrating for me.
My favorite team is the Riccaboni Nigel team that I'll never get again.
That's a good team. That is a good team, to be fair.
That stretch on Collision was like Collision's best stretch too. So it was like it was a good run. It was a good run.
Over budget battle royal. I mean, I didn't have any big thoughts on it.
I literally only saw Hangman win. I missed everything except for like the final two.
Scorpio Sky was in it. He popped up out of nowhere. Sean Spears was in it too. Yeah, there's nothing really to say. I don't really think.
I know this isn't a hot take, but I don't need to make Scorpio Sky work. Like he's fine.
I don't know what the plan was for Scorpio Sky.
Thing is, he screams Rampage.
You know what also is funny about the whole CM Punk firing?
What?
CM Punk left the company faster than Thunder Rosa can debut on Collision.
Yes, she must have like had a setback or something, huh?
Right? I mean, seemingly, is she still on the graphics of the opening credits? I'm trying to recall.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so she must have had some sort of setback. Who the hell knows what's happening with Thunder Rosa at this point? But
Thunder Rosa existed. So
let's get to the main show. The show opened up with the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Title match. Better Than You, Baby, Adam Cole and MJF defeating the team of Alex Reynolds and John Silver. This match, of course, getting played up with MJF and Alex Reynolds being coach versus student, Adam Cole's relationship with John Silver and Alex Reynolds, and more importantly, MJF's consistent neck injury where he had to leave and then hang out near the entrance ramp a la Cody Rhodes at Revolution a couple years ago. So what did you think of this tag team match here for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles?
I am like so sold on just everything MJF does.
you're a devil worshiper.
Like, the problem is he wasn't out there for half the match, so I was like, "Oh my god, can he hurry up?" I was like, "Can we get to the big pop where he makes the miraculous save?" Which we did, and then it worked out. He had the kangaroo kick, all that good stuff. They did this last week.
Yeah,
the wrestler get hurt. Go to the back and then come back out. I was like, that's interesting to do it twice. It worked better for MJF though because it got a big pop like when Pento Oscuro came back and they were like, what? Because they didn't focus on Pento when he got hurt. You thought it was legit. I thought it was a legit injury.
Yeah.
MJF, we were like, all right, I know how this goes. I've watched professional wrestling. But it works every time, so I can't even get mad at it, match was fine. It was a TV match on a pay-per-view, which I would say about the first two matches. First four on paper. I will explain after.
I think the first 5 matches
arguably on TV
I think are a great Dynamite.
Yeah, definitely a great Dynamite without a doubt.
I think the first 5 matches as pay-per-view are a great Dynamite, and then Brian Danielson versus Ricky Starks happens, and they shifts in the gear. Oh my god! Like that's what it shoots off.
But even then, like so you know why I think this card was so good?
Why?
They built it to me like a Japanese card.
Sure.
You saved the heavy hitters for the end so that you weren't tired by the end. Like this show, it was breezing by for me.
It was also like in the sub 4 hours too.
Yeah, which was very nice. But like the first 5 matches breezed by. I had a good time. That's all I asked for.
Yeah. I thought the match, like you said, I thought the match was a solid like TV title match. MJF is over, and I understand why they're doing the Cody Rhodes spot, which is what I'm going to call that spot of leaving the match pre-injury, whatever, during injury.
I think Cody still probably does that.
Did you think? How are you liking Dark Order here, Alex Reynolds and John Silver?
Oh, I couldn't give a shit less about them.
I like the little chair shot in the back of MJF.
That was good.
That was good.
But here's the problem: any team could have done that.
I agree.
You know, like I don't know, the Kingdom could have done that.
Yes, I think what sucks about the Dark Order right now, beyond arguably many things, is that I don't think they included them into this because they're turning their heels, and there's the Adam Cole connection. I don't think the crowd gave one crap about any of that.
You know why I'll say they were in this? Because they were probably supposed to be on All In, and that didn't happen.
Well, the righteous aren't going to make it. Then I guess they're not coming over or whatever.
Remember when they Righteous got like a hype video like 3 weeks ago on Rampage or something? That they were coming to AEW. They ain't coming to AEW.
Well, yeah, they were so close to getting that London payday. It just fell apart.
That would have been a silly goose move by Tony Khan. That would have been worse than not firing CM Punk.
I agreed. Ring of Honor World TV title match: Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor, 6 minutes and 23 seconds. I mean, this was just a very quick.
Hold time.
What?
The most important part of both these two matches happened before this match started.
My apologies, sir. What was it?
So MJF's walking out, and then Samoa Joe makes his entrance. Samoa Joe shoves MJF, and we out of nowhere it was a throwback to the Brooklyn event where Samoa Joe shoved MJF in NXT. Yep. But the point is, it's now leading us to a feud because he then put him in a chokehold to wring his neck again. And AEW just announced with this wonderful poster, mind you, that MJF speaks live, and it's a stare down between MJF and Samoa Joe.
Yeah,
we're cooking. They said, "Oh, CM Punk's gone. All right, we'll just do Samoa Joe." Sounds good, man.
You know what I also saw that was interesting was someone pitched the idea of, "Oh, well, we have this tournament coming up, and Samoa Joe will probably be a part of that tournament to wrestle MJF at Grand Slam." But who else is in that tournament? Roddy Strong. And you know how
great storyteller that Roddy Strong is, by the way.
And you know how his neck, remember how his neck got injured in the first place?
Yeah.
Samoa Joe. So
Samoa Joe murdered him.
We're getting somewhere. The threads are coming together here.
Yeah. On accident, arguably, because I don't think this was originally the direction.
No, I would argue Punk was probably the original direction, but hey, we'll take it. We'll certainly take it.
I just want to say like one thing about Punk. Mm-hmm. I just realized I'm happy. I want him to not wrestle again because Punk versus Samoa Joe
at Wembley.
Let's wrap it up like that. Nice for the CM Punk fans like myself. Let's just put it in a box, put it to the side, call it a day.
I think that's a good bow to wrap the gift on. Is that that's not a phrase? Ring of Honor World TV title.
I knew what you were going for, but it's fine.
Samoa Joe versus Shane Taylor. I didn't think much of this match.
No,
Shane Taylor looked fine, but no one cared about him, obviously. And Samoa Joe just did his thing, and that was pretty much it in 6 minutes.
Yeah. They had a different beef match on this show that I think more people
not
were
beef,
looking forward to.
Not specific to beef.
Meat. Meat. Did I say it enough yet?
Meat forever.
Chicago.
Meat core country. I would, you know how hard I would have popped if the crowd started a meat
You would
core
have gave the
country.
match like 7 stars if that happened.
100% agreed. Yeah, I don't got anything to say about Samoa Joe.
First 7-star match ever, strictly because they said meat core country. Also, the people that were in the copper box that day, I'm watching you. that drove me insane.
Agreed. AEW TNT title match. Luchasaurus defeats Darby Allin in 12 minutes and 14 seconds. This was just a mauling of Darby Allin, it appeared. This was just Darby Allin just getting crushed to death constantly by a Luchasaurus, which, hey, you know, that puts Darby Allin on the shelf, quote unquote, for a little bit to make his triumphant return, maybe at some point to wrestle somebody for something at the Wrestle Dream in Seattle. So that's the heat. It's a match all about heat. That's what this was.
I think Darby Allin is so good at what he does.
Yeah, agreed.
That is how I watched this match. I was like, he has made this match so much better than it has any right to be, because he's so good at getting his ass kicked. You know, like he raised this match up a lot. It wasn't like what we'd see later in the show, but it was still really good for the first half. And I think that's why, you know, you and I said like it was a great Dynamite.
Yeah,
because of a match like this.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it was.
This is like the poor person, but this is the poor person version of the Samoa Joe matches, though, that he had with him earlier this year.
Agreed. It's definitely a downgrade, but at the end of the day, this was all just to build heat to Wrestle Dream, whatever that's going to take place.
Pain in me, though, that Luchasaurus is still champion.
Well, I know. Hopefully,
I wish Christian Cage was champion.
I don't like now with the whole Christian Cage thing. Is like I don't necessarily know what the match would be at Wrestle Dream for Darby to presumably win the title. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily. Is it a 4-way with Nick Wayne in there? Is Swerve?
I thought the match should have just been Swerve and Darby, and we never looked back.
I agree. Like, that's the other thing. Like, Swerve is involved in this as well, so I don't know where we're going with any of this stuff. But
talk about a guy we should be booking up now that CM Punk's gone.
I agree.
I don't know how many times I'm going to say it on this damn show, but I'm going to keep doing it till we do it.
But again, match the build, the heat for Wrestle Dream. Darby is seemingly, I would guess still, if he's not winning in here, he's winning the TNT title there. So we'll see what happens with that. Singles match, Miro defeats Powerhouse Hobbs in 15 minutes and 34 seconds. The crowd, the entire time, practically the entire time, it took them a little bit, but once they got into cheering meat to every single slam and meat forever and holy meat, they got super into it, and I like it a lot, and it feels like Miro fully adopted the meat chants and almost made it his own. And I'm excited, man. I don't know why Tony Khan has not announced Miro versus the Butcher for Wednesday's Dynamite. You know, the Meat Man.
I don't know how we haven't entered a meat division. They asked that. Like, we're going to have a meat division now? I was like, that'd be a brilliant idea. Just all the beefy guys hitting each other every week. That's all we call the never open weight division once upon a time. Not anymore, because David Finlay and Tama Tonga run that now. But Ruin run, whichever you prefer.
But this match itself,
I had a lot of fun.
I thought it was fun too. You know? It was the match itself, you know, about like this idea of like just equal powerhouses, just doing their own moves and doing moves to each other, and all this, you know, doing their stealing moves or whatever. And just kind of who's the meatier wrestler, I guess, at the end of the day. They go for respect at the end, and then Will Hobbs turns on Miro afterwards. So we babyface Miro, I guess, out of all of this. And then after the match, as Will Hobbs is beating down Miro, you have the debut of one CJ Perry, formerly known as Lana, the hot and flexible wife of Miro, coming down the ring, kind of awkwardly. She does the Miz thing where her husband's getting beaten down, and the Miz, you know, the Miz thing where the Fiend is destroying his family and wife, and instead of like blood feuding his way out there, he has to go out and do the whole spin. She comes out, does a thing as his wife, as her husband's getting beat down, and then rushes to the ring. You can take someone out of WWE, you can't take the sports entertainment out of the person, I guess. And makes the save, and then Miro walks away from the save, being like, "You're not real," to his own wife. So What do you think? I guess fully. Any other more thoughts about the match, and any thoughts about CJ Perry making maybe a debut, maybe more? I don't know at this show.
I kind of was hoping that this would be like the organic lead to them becoming like a tag team or something.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't.
Nope.
Instead, it was Lana. I was like, why? Like I knew she was eventually gonna show up because he talks about her all the time in his promos. But I was like, gonna do it at a pay per view? She's gonna just like show up backstage. I was like, really? Like, there's no. I don't know. I don't have interest in that. The match itself was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, I thought the match was fun. I thought it was, a good, hard hitting match.
good meat slapping meat match. Yeah.
Good sleep, good meat slapping meat match. I think Miro tweeted out, and I thought of it the exact moment they did like the handshake thing at the end there. Rocky, I believe it was Rocky. The bit of like the
Oh,
two
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
That this is the perfect moment for that. Yeah, if we could have turned this into a tag team and do Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs into Big Bill and Brian Cage, that's the meat factory that I want to be a part of. That's what I'm talking about, folks.
That's your meat factory that you want to go to, that you want to attend.
Quote me on that. quote me on that. AEW TBS title match: Chris Statlander defeats Ruby Soho, getting her first victory over Ruby Soho in the history of their rivalry. What do you think of this match?
My opinion is that this match is the reason I think the show ends up being so great. And people may like say that and be like, what? My reasoning is that it was a good women's match on a pay-per-view, which isn't always what we get from AEW. Like I thought, and I don't think this is that hot of a take because it was mostly just Jade squashes. This was probably the best TBS title match of the title's history.
Sure.
And it wasn't like this blowaway match. It was just a good wrestling match between Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander. And honestly, that's all I was asking for. I think Chris is getting better and better as she since coming back, as you'd expect. But it's good to see. And I like that Tony's kind of going back to babyface because I think Tony's a better babyface than she is a heel.
I agree. Yeah, there was a little of a botch there at the end there of Tony Storm going to the wrong area. But
I was like, how did you end up on the wrong side? Okay.
Whatever. Surely there's a monitor under the ring to know where you are, but whatever. It's Australia. She's Australian or whatever, so it spins the other direction. So she just went the other direction. Does that make sense? I think I get what you're saying, that this is probably like the best TBS title match. I thought the match was like completely serviceable and good.
That's all it took.
I guess that's the bar with
it was like that or Chris's from like Collision a few weeks ago.
I really like that match. I did really like.
Yeah.
I think I like that.
Was that
match
for
more.
The title?
Gonna have to look that up.
I don't remember it being for the title, but if it was, then that probably is, and then this is second.
Let's see. What were we thinking?
It might have been because that feud kind of like disappeared.
For the Mercedes Martinez, right? For Collision. Yeah. Yes, that was for the title.
All right, so that was first. This is second. Congratulations.
Let's see what Cage Match had it at. Cage Match had it at a 6.55. They had this one.
I have this one up. 6.62.
This is the best one.
Told you guys, you're welcome. I think those two matches are signs of the right thing.
I agreed. I can agree to that. And I said
now when we do Chris and Willow, we'll have our best one.
Agreed.
Or Athena.
Or someone.
Please.
Athena could be good.
Please, Athena. Can we get her on TV?
Give Willow the title so that you can just have Athena on Dynamite. That's all you gotta do.
I think I can give Billy the title.
Probably.
Which,
probably.
That's the way you get someone over.
But like I said, I thought that first half was a really good Dynamite, but let's strap in. Click on into...
I don't think I was ready.
I wasn't ready for that pun I made to the strap match. Let's strap in for the strap match discussion. Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks. Holy shit, dude. This match ruled so much. I was shocked.
You want my take?
Give me that take.
Not only was this my match of the night,
Sure, yeah, I can agree with that.
this is one of the best AEW matches of the year. And when I saw this on paper, I said, it will be good. You know,
It'll be
Danielson's probably back. Danielson's back early. You know, he's probably gonna
he'll go a little easy on him.
Yeah, he'll go easy. Like the strap will help them. It's Ricky Starks, who's most, he doesn't really always hit in his matches. Really good on the promo stuff, right? But he doesn't always hit on the matches. The CM Punk stuff is in the back of my mind, so that's not helping. Because I have seen Ricky Starks have good matches. His stuff with Powerhouse Hobbs back in the day, those were good. But I was like, it'll be fine. Oh boy!
How dare we doubt the men in this match? Yeah,
I was pacing in my living room because of how good this was. Because every time they hit each other in the face with the strap, I was losing my mind. I was like, this is unreal.
It was a really, really good match up until the moment where Starks is on the top of that turnbuckle. Brian prepares the strap and just wallops him so hard, and then does it over and over and over again. Same volume, same sound, the crispness of the leather strap, just over and over again hitting him. And then he falls over and he hits him some more. Just that moment that happened, the match just took off. And I was talking to people twice today about the crazy athleticism that is involved in wrestling, and also the whole discussion again of it's all fake, right? Wrestling's all fake. And I responded with,
this wasn't fake, baby.
My usual response to that, right, is well, of course, storylines can be faked and punches and kicks can be fake, but still at the end of the day, can you run around for 20 minutes while lifting someone the same size as you and falling on your back for the entire 20 minutes? No, that takes an incredible athletic performance. Here in this match, I don't think there was a single thing in this match that was worked other than just the smoke and mirrors aspect of that Danielson talked about.
Throwing one single strike with that arm.
Those straps hurt like the Dickens, or at least sound like it. And at the very end, when the finish being Danielson choking out Starks,
was so good.
You usually see, a finger in there to make it alleviate. No, that looked as shoot as possible. That looked as legit of a choke that I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. That was it. That was great. That was fantastic.
That was the perfect finish for me because Starks' face was perfect.
Yeah, and purple.
Purple. I walked out of this match, I was like, listen, I don't know what CM Punk and Ricky Starks had in store, right? They were going to be the main event. They were going to probably have a strap match. Probably would have been really good. But Ricky Starks is walking out of this match with Bryan Danielson a made man. I don't know for sure if he would have with CM Punk.
Completely agree.
Bryan Danielson did this with one arm.
Yeah.
One arm. I don't know. I love Kenny. Obviously, Ospreay's amazing. All these guys. Okada's great. Moxley's fantastic. Moxley's one of my top wrestlers of the year. But on a game-to-game basis, I just don't know if there's anyone better than Bryan Danielson for me right now. And I don't know if there's anyone that can do this. His arm wasn't okay. It wasn't okay. He's back probably a month early. And he's fine, thank God.
Yeah.
But him stepping up, and now he's pretty much taking on the CM Punk role on Collision, probably in every way, whether it's producing, booking, whatever, and being the main star.
Yelling at Ryan Nemeth to get out of the arena.
Yeah. I don't know if it gets much better than that as a replacement, to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, you weren't here. You weren't here for the past month. Yeah, now you are. Now you're going to take over the main role. I think this match was so good to me because I didn't expect it at all.
Yeah.
That's why I love it so much. That's why for me, and it made Ricky Starks for me. That this match was everything I look for in wrestling.
Completely agree. This was as real as it gets.
Yeah.
This is real graps. This is what that is.
Yes. I haven't stopped thinking about it.
It's great.
Like the gunshot sound of that strap, and they just kept hitting each other in the face with it. I was like, because you could see in the match pretty much Ricky realized, oh shit.
Yeah.
I gotta hit back.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta bring it.
Yeah.
And I like that because, as sort of Danielson talked about in his presser, like that
he was so good in
that. And I believe to a certain extent what Danielson's talking about, because he's doing these pressers way less kayfabe than everybody else. But like the
which
idea
makes him doing it better than everyone else.
But the idea of like Ricky can dish out what you give him, you just have to give it to him. And Danielson fucking gave it to him in this match because he
gave a lot of props to Ricky.
Yeah, he got whipped in this match, and Stark certainly gave it back hundredfold back to Danielson.
My God.
And just that finish of just like the life of Starks leaving his eyes seemingly as he passes out in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Just great. Just great. That's all it is. And I'm excited. I hope that a Collision Starks Danielson feud continues. Of course, we're gonna get Big Bill versus Danielson at some point. That's my wrestle dream, baby.
Going back to when Danielson came out of retirement. That was his first feud. Big Cass, baby.
Determined to get Big Cass over. Well,
Big Cass got fired.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this match was great. Dude, this match, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I know a lot of people love them, and I thought there were 3 great matches on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people love the main event, but like this one didn't leave my brain.
I mean, shame on us ultimately for not fully expecting what we were being given, because it is, to me.
Well, we agreed Danielson was not on the card, okay?
It's fair. But this idea of like strong style strap match, like this sort of like the ferocity, the violence that we've seen in these dog collar matches in this company.
Yeah, it's probably because of Starks. Like maybe
Starks
we just
helped
didn't.
A lot.
I don't know if I ever expected him to go to that.
Agreed. I think that's the thing about Starks is Starks doesn't always, as you sort of already alluded to, he doesn't always have that thing where he can bring someone up to his level. Sometimes he can, sometimes he can't really. But when he is with someone that is way higher of a level, maybe not way higher, but one of the greatest of all time with Bryan Danielson.
Way higher Bryan Danielson. That's not a mean thing.
I guess that's fair. It showcases just the level of talent that he has and what he can do, and just dish back what he's given. I mean, Danielson looked phenomenal in this match, and I can't wait to see him wrestle a Wrestle Dream and whatever schmaz that's going to be. But Starks just being able to step up to the plate and hit a home run like he did really shows a lot, and I really want to see something come out of this for him. I don't know what it can be. Quite honestly, I have no clue what the direction of Starks can be after all this. But right now, my best get is just continuing the feud of Danielson until something else comes up along for Starks. Because at some point, we need to put a title on this guy. At some point, you would think.
I love Ricky.
That. Me too.
He's awesome.
He's
awesome. He some of his big matches miss, but I don't always blame him for that. I know a lot of people do like to blame him. You know what the CM Punk feud was designed as? The same as MJF, and that was pretty much save him from the muck that was a Chris Jericho feud prior. And instead, Bryan Danielson ultimately saved him, I think.
Yeah.
But it was so good. It was like I've had this match. Just go out of your way to see it if you haven't.
He needed to take the reins, and he took the strap. he took that.
He took the strap. All right.
Let's move. Do you have any other thoughts about this match before we move on?
No, it was beautiful.
I agree. Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta defeat the team of Eddie Kingston and Katsuya Shibata. Kind of an out of nowhere finish here of Claudio Castagnoli getting the win over Eddie Kingston. I was kind of surprised by that result. But still, nonetheless, if anything, that tells me that we're probably pushing this feud further down the line, and Eddie Kingston Claudio will probably also be the final battle, world title match for Ring of Honor at the end of this year. So
that's before Dishonor. Nope, final battle.
Yeah, final battle for December.
Yeah, that's fine to save it at this point. like why would you waste it?
Agreed.
You know, it's I wanted them to just toss it on this show.
Oh, I know you
at
did.
one point.
I know you
but,
did.
Because I was like, you don't need more story. But it's okay. I'm okay with them waiting. This was fun. This was kind of like a fever dream seeing Claudio and Shibata in there.
Yeah, right.
This is crazy. I was like, let's do more of this. Wheeler Yuta getting his ass kick's always fun too. So
I really enjoyed the details of great wrestlers. One example from the Bryan Danielson Ricky Starks match was Bryan Danielson going to the top rope when Big Bill and Starks on the outside and doing the crossbody, right?
Yeah.
And how is he caught? Big Bill is essentially catching Bryan Danielson, and Ricky Starks essentially just catches the arm, right? Like it, we're just make sure that my arm is safe.
Yeah.
Tiny little detail that only like you and I or any big old wrestling fans can figure out.
Based on the press conference, Tony Khan might have threatened Ricky Starks to do that, because when Bryan Danielson almost fell, I think Tony Khan almost.
Yeah, agreed. But also in this match, the Blackpool Combat Club Eddie Kingston Shibata match, tiny little detail of that spot of Shibata, elbows in the corner, runs to the other side, gets uppercut by Claudio, uppercut, runs to the other side, kicks him, elbows to the corner, drops him, goes to run, stops, turns around looking at Claudio to make sure that he's on the ground, and then does his drop kick. And I thought that was just a fantastic, tiny detail that just really exemplified like the intelligence of Katsuya Shibata as a wrestler that I absolutely adored. It's the small details of great wrestlers and experienced, intelligent wrestlers that I think are fantastic.
For anyone watching, I just want to know, do you also, or anyone listening over the next week, do you just sit there when Shibata's wrestling and think this is the coolest thing? I don't even care if the match is 4, 5, 6 stars. I'm just happy when I'm watching him wrestle, because he shouldn't be at all.
Yeah, and we're not going to announce it yet, but if there was a way to tell us give us an answer about that question, if only there was a way for to give us an answer to that question. Maybe it's going across the YouTube, Twitter stream right now. But if only there was a way to answer that question immediately. But yeah, no, I thought Shibata was really good here. Eddie Kingston, Claudio continuing the story. I really enjoyed another detail of story between Claudio, Shibata, and Yuta, which was Yuta getting his legs trapped up by Shibata and Claudio knocking Shibata over, but in doing so caused more pain to Yuta's leg lock or whatever that he was under from Shibata. And Claudio just kind of outright ignores it and just leaving and being like, oh, Yuta's fine. He'll get over it. And I thought that was just a tiny little bit of story that I really enjoyed as well. Any other thoughts about this match before we move on, Scotty? I'm all good.
No, I think it was a nice add to the show.
Agreed.
Obviously.
Agreed. Completely agreed. Singles match here. Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. Konosuke Takeshita gets the win over Kenny Omega. 22 minutes and 21 seconds. The V-triggers, the frickin' German suplex or whatever that was onto Kenny Omega's skull, the crown of his skull. The top rope blue thunder bomb that just looked like an awful landing for really both of them, especially Kenny Omega. The bits of story at the end with Don Callis going for the screwdriver finish as well. Going for the sort of Rey Fenix hammer into Kenny Omega One Wing Angel, getting that taken from him, and doing a bunch of reversals to eventually Takeshita getting the win, I thought was fantastic. These guys are great. Kenny Omega gets another loss. Takeshita gets his second pinfall victory, first one in singles match outing. of recent in AEW against Kenny Omega. The everything is going down to Konosuke Takeshita, and I'm very intrigued how, if at all, this feud continues, and if not, where we go with all this. Right now, the only thing I can think of is Konosuke Takeshita versus Chris Jericho. I don't know about that one, but I'm interested to see where we can go with all this. Maybe Takeshita teaming up with someone else. I don't know, but they are putting a rocket to him by getting these wins over Omega, or at least Omega's giving him a rocket and putting him over. So I'm very intrigued. This match was great. These guys are fantastic wrestlers. The amount of suplexes, the strikes, the trigger, the knee attacks alone. The match was great. This match was very, very good. What did you think about this match?
Big shock. Kenny Omega delivers in singles match. I know. I'm stunned.
Can you believe it, folks?
Can you believe that we got a night full with a Jon Moxley singles match, a Kenny Omega singles match, and Bryan Danielson singles match, and oh my God, they were able to deliver. That's crazy. It's almost like they're the three guys you lean on when you need them the most. Yeah, I mean, this is great, and I'll say this, and this isn't me being disrespectful to the match because I thought it was great. I thought Takeshita looked like a freaking star at the end. Needs new theme music. But I thought he looked at a star at the end. They have a better match.
Ooh, interesting take here. Why do you say that?
They have a better match, whether it's bigger stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily a stipulation. I just think I think they still held back.
Yeah.
And it's probably in the end a Kenny win, that ultimately gets us there. I just watched this and I was like, I don't know. I think they can go to another level. And maybe that's just me with Kenny matches. I just always expect there to still be better. Like you and me talking about it with Ospreay and Kenny, and people have talked about those two matches this year as the end all be all matches of this year. I still prefer the New Japan one, the Wrestle Kingdom one, over the AEW one, which is the hot take anyways. But I still think they have better in that too, And I think Takeshita, the more he gets comfortable in this heel role in ring, the better it will be. But he hasn't had that many matches since turning heel. But it was still fantastic. So I just wanted to put that out there. I love that Kenny was. I love that Kenny put over Takeshita here. I think
clean
that was
in the middle
important.
of the ring.
Yeah,
or as clean as it can get with Don Callis. I get what you're saying there, and I think kind of to talk about what you're talking about of like we still have like, despite having a great match, you sort of still expect more from Kenny Omega, and I think that is like just the comparison of it's still very recent, and you and I are still comparing, I think, to the Okada Omega series where it was so great that like I wonder if there is this element of like, we know, especially since how recent it is, it feels like he could still go there despite all these injuries and surgeries and all this stuff. It feels like he should be able to go there, but maybe that is behind us and he's still able to put a great performance, but it's instead of a 10, it's a 9. You know what I mean? It's still great. It's just like a notch below from his physical prime, I guess. I mean, that was what, 2016, 2017 or whatever that was?
Yeah. I mean, we say physical prime, but even then it's like he's still one of, if not the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah. I mean, he was 30, he was like 34 when those matches happened. Now he's like nearing 40. So
I think he just like, I think when he wrestles, he builds to something bigger.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that's probably what he wants with Takeshita. Because I don't think the feud's over.
Agreed.
The feud never ends when the heel wins. It's like it just doesn't happen. Especially in this story, I think it would be silly for a 10. And there's also the Ospreay connection.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get Kenny and Jericho versus Takeshita and Ospreay? What a weird thing that would be, huh?
Sure.
I think Takeshita probably wrestles either Jericho or actually no, Jericho's moved on. He's going to the tag team stuff. So I think he either wrestles Ibushi or Hangman, which would be good. Preferably Hangman. Uh, but I'm sure, if they want to get a singles match out of Ibushi, they will.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe that's where we go. But it's good. What is best is that Takeshita won. He has momentum. While I said Starks is a made guy, this does a lot to make Takeshita a made guy for the AEW audience.
Agreed. And I do think
And he beat him clean.
he beat him clean, and a win over Omega is huge. But the fact that Omega,
He's huge, by the way. Takeshita's gigantic.
I know. The fact that Omega is on this thing of like, look at all the injuries he has. He's breaking down. He's out of his prime or whatever. That's the whole story and that's the whole thing. Omega's protected in that sense. There is an element where it's not, and I think that's also kind of what we're talking about is that the Takeshita over Omega win doesn't feel as big because it's not Prime Omega. It is a story about a guy continuously breaking down. A win over someone who is more established, more in their prime and all this stuff. If Takeshita got a win over Adam Page, you can make an argument that that almost feels bigger in this company than Omega. I still think, and obviously I'm still saying that Omega victory is still huge for Takeshita, but I think there is that element of like, he has to go up against guy, like a win over like Moxley would be huge.
I think beating Kenny first
is a good step.
Is better than having beaten Hangman first, for example.
Agreed.
But had he beat Moxley first, then yeah, that would be different.
Yeah. But
because no one really beats Moxley.
We're having a discussion that's about very minute preferences.
Yeah. It's like the hierarchy of AEW. Like who beating. I think your biggest win is Moxley.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not saying he should, but the international title.
No.
I don't know if Moxley. I have no idea if Moxley's a heel or babyface anymore. I've just decided he's Moxley. Okay, like you can do whatever you want.
I think that's fair.
But like that's a possibility. I like that they're just making Takeshita a guy. Agreed. He should be a guy.
Agreed.
A very, very, very talented guy at that.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
You could also spin Kenny off to, and I don't think they're doing this, but I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Kenny and Jay White again. Just saying.
Is that over? Is that feud over? I don't know.
I don't know what. Listen, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. We're gonna talk about this now, so I better bring it up. The Bang Bang Gang, they're so over.
Yeah.
But I just don't know, like, what they're just getting plucked into things right now. And it's like, all right, you're gonna feud with CM Punk, then you're gonna feud with FTR, then you're gonna feud with the Young Bucks, then you're gonna feud with Kenny. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They really need, at this point, a long, substantial feud with somebody.
I guess that's Jay who does.
Yeah.
Because the other three just tag along.
I don't know. Juice should get a substantial feud.
I think Juice and Tony eventually need to be paired together on TV. I never want the couples paired together, but I keep thinking. I was talking to Dylan yesterday about this, and we were thinking about the Fred Rosser feud and how great they were in that like one match. I know a lot of people got mad about it. I didn't. And I like how great they just were on screen. I was like, someday that'll make sense. But for now, yeah, we should just like get a story. Or they can just beat FTR. I am fine with that too.
Me too.
I wanted them to beat FTR last time.
They
went 59 minutes.
I watched Bullet Club Gold and I just think back to myself. Remember late 2022 when Juice Robinson was such a bore on television? It was just like,
I was always a believer.
Why is this guy here? He does nothing. The crowd's not into him.
I had conversations with people. They're like, I don't get it. Why do you like Juice? It's like, trust me, it's in there.
It's in there. and he's tapped into it now. The craziness, the frantic craziness of Juice Robinson has been tapped into, and it works so well. He's like a rabbit.
Juice, baby.
He is Animal from the Muppets. That is Juice Robinson to a T. Is that he is a rabid animal, and he's a Muppet of a man.
How can you not love cracked Juice?
I agree, and I'm enjoying the Gun Club. I'll say this too. I'm enjoying the Gun Club.
They're doing really good.
I think
they work off them very well.
I completely agree, and to the extent as well, if the Elite and FTR, I thought their work was great. There was probably, this match went ultimately 21 minutes, 41 seconds. I'd probably say there were 10, 15 minutes maybe of constant nonstop action happening on my screen of people flying all over the place. And it was great. I love the dynamic between the two teams, especially now with all the CM Punk drama. I think it adds to that tension.
Young Bucks, they had a spring in their step last night.
They certainly had a spring in their step. I love the crowd booing them and Nick Jackson doing the hot tag and immediately getting the crowd on his side. I like that they're basically replaying the storyline of what FTR did when they came into the company and about this handshake and all this stuff. They're sort of replaying that storyline to a certain extent, but I think it works better now because since everyone sort of knows the behind the scenes elements of everything, that there is active tension between these two groups that I think works way better here than it did previously in the beginnings of their feud back in 2021 or whatever that was. I do like, I don't know if anyone else noticed this. So obviously, I don't know if anyone, and I'm going to ask this. I didn't watch this show live, but I wanted to know, I didn't see anything about the internet talking about this. So obviously in a Collision, you get the old Cash Wheeler X throwing up the X spot, right? On their entrance of the CM Punk X spot thing, whatever, in their entrance on Collision. Everyone was talking about that and complaining about that or whatever on the internet. That's fine. Did anyone else notice? Do you notice, Scotty, the BTE trigger during this match with Matt Jackson and Dax Harwood, and what happened during that spot? Did anyone else notice that, or was it just me?
The BT trigger in the match?
Yes.
When he did the watch thing? Yeah, I noticed that.
Did the internet go crazy about that?
No.
Yeah, I was shocked that happened. The internet.
I wasn't going to bring it up either.
I was shocked that happened. The internet didn't talk about it once, but 100% Matt Jackson's like BTE trigger, and Dax Harwood just looks at his watch, seemingly wondering if it's clobbering time, which of course is his favorite Progress pay-per-view.
Trust me, I saw that. I was like,
put it away, man. Put it away. We're done with it.
Put the watch away. But I know they're clearly not happy about it.
Sure.
But they still competed at a high level yesterday. They did everything with the Young Bucks. Mm-hmm. Everything great with the Young Bucks. I really like Dax's match with Jay White on Collision.
And like that bringing up that Punk thing, as much as it sort of sucks, it, again, going back to what I said, it plays into the reminder of us, the audience, the tension between these two groups.
You know what's my favorite part about this?
Besides Bullet
the all in match just didn't matter. like it was like, yeah, we're gonna toss this on the card because we have to, but like the actual grudge match is the next one. That was just like, we'll toss you a bone, England.
Yeah.
But we don't really care. We're gonna have our real great all-timer match the next time when we actually have a feud to build it up, not just, hey, we need a big match on this card.
The Brits are gonna get angry at us. More than what they already are.
But I don't know how you watch this match and think that wasn't the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought this was a great outing between all of them. I thought, like I said, 10, 15 minutes of like nonstop action for the end there. It was a sprint.
Total nonstop action?
Potentially. Hey, Jay,
shout out to the
former TNA wrestler Jay White, right?
Generation Me.
Former sons of former TNA legend Billy Gunn.
Former Impact Tag Team Champion Juice Robinson. Yeah, I think we've nailed it. Total nonstop action. Let's go, baby.
And then your main event, AEW International title match. Jon Moxley defeats Orange Cassidy to end the long reign, 326-day reign of Orange Cassidy in 19 minutes and 43 seconds. I mean, what is there to say about this match? This match was a bloody affair. This match, you talk about...
Jon Moxley didn't bleed.
Jon Moxley didn't bleed. The only blood on him was Orange Cassidy's that he bit off of him or whatever. You talk about Darby Allin being a great underdog seller and just really showing like the effects of wrestling on his body. Orange Cassidy nailed it here as well, of just the sheer effects of wrestling and how downtrodden, how destroyed his body is. Barely being able to do the punch, Superman punch. I feel like doing a tiny little Roman Reigns shout out of the Superman punch into the spear. And just, John Moxley just fucking felt like he was brutalizing Orange Cassidy for 20 minutes straight, and Orange Cassidy just doing everything in his power to stand tall. But it wasn't enough for one John Moxley. I mean, we talked about it before. The ace of AEW, John Moxley. What a great match. Just a constant David Goliath story where, sadly, in this one, the David loses to the Goliath.
See, I won.
Mm-hmm.
Because Orange Cassidy lost.
What does that mean?
that was not to be mean to Orange Cassidy, but I felt like the right scenario here was him losing.
Agreed.
I thought Moxley winning was the right choice. I like, to me, if had he lost, no one would have made sense to end this feud. Like we just said it, like beating Moxley's the biggest achievement. And truthfully, this was like the end of Orange Cassidy's signature reign. I don't think he's gonna get a world title. Like, this was his world title reign. He made the most of it. And he did a great job, right? He never gave up. He kept fighting back. I loved the, him doing the pocket kicks, and then they got harder and harder, and he was like getting aggressive. Like, that was awesome. And I just love Moxley pretty much saying, all right, that's enough. Like, pretty much saying, I have to do this. And he just, maybe the best, what does he call the move? Paradigm shift? I call it Death Rider.
The finisher here was the Death Rider. The only difference is one goes higher up in the air.
I was gonna say, have we just switched to the Death Rider? Can we just call it that for the rest of the time? That was always cooler name.
There's a tiny difference, and it's just angle, I think. One's a sheer drop, like brainbuster DDT gimmick.
They're all the same, but that's fine.
Pretty much.
But I thought this match was a great main event. It is my favorite All Out main event.
All right, hold on. Let's go through the All Out main event.
Hangman versus Jericho.
That was what, the first one?
Yep, I remember them off the top of my head, so you don't have to go.
Well, now I'm going to be quizzing you as well. So yeah, going all the way back to 2019. Of course, we got the first one of All Out. It was results. It was Chris Jericho versus Adam Page. That was pretty good. Pretty good. 2020. Remember
Mox and MJF?
Mox and MJF.
I remember that being pretty forgettable.
That was not good. That was not
MJF
good.
was not MJF yet.
No, that was like that whole bit, because that whole feud also had the Mark Sterling bits and everything, and it was just kind of nonsense. 2021.
2021 was Kenny and Christian Cage.
Correctamundo for the AEW World title. Good, but it was
better the first time I saw it on Rampage.
Yes, it was hurt. It was hurt by Christian getting the win beforehand because of the whole title belt scenario that was happening.
It was also better. That main event's lifted up because of what happened after, but like the match itself was like good, just good.
Yeah,
and Kenny was towards the end of his reign, and
this one's probably easy. All Out 2022.
Moxley and Punk.
Yeah. Again, it felt weirdly tampered by the 4 minute whatever 4 minute Rocky 4 match that took place or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
so I think I'm right.
I think you might be right.
I think I'm comfortably right, actually.
Yeah.
So good job to them.
Good job to you.
Good job to me as well. But yeah, great show. And I'll say this. This is not only my favorite AEW show of the year. I don't count Forbidden Door. That's just
sure.
non-canon in many ways. Unfortunately, that's where Jack Perry went heel, and we've seen how that goes. It stinks. Sorry. I'm gonna have to cry me a river. Anyways, I think this is my favorite AEW pay per view since Revolution 2022.
I gotta look at that card now too.
Maybe
Revolution 2022. Let's see what that card was. I believe that one was the Sting match. Like, was that one of his like first Sting matches where he just goes crazy?
I have no idea.
That was Adam Cole versus Adam Page. I know. I remember not liking that main event. The
Punk and MJF.
The 6-man tornado tag team match: Darby, Sammy, and Sting versus Andrade, Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy. I remember that was the crazy one. Moxley, Danielson, great.
That was great.
MJF, CM Punk, the dog collar match.
It's good.
Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World Champion.
Bad.
Jade Cargill, Ty Conti. Ty Conti looked good in that spot, I think.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Wardlow winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match.
Their ladder matches are bad.
I remember that spot having the fun, like, sort of Keith Lee Powerhouse Hobbs dynamic.
Ooh, yeah.
Jurassic Express versus Red Dragon versus Young Bucks.
I remember that being pretty good.
Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. That was great.
That was probably then because there was no brawl out stuff. If it's not then, Double or Nothing 2022 maybe when Punk won.
I'm trying to see if I remember any.
I don't remember
arena
that
match. The Jericho Appreciation Society versus Blackpool Combat Club. That was great. That was.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
That was Matt Eddie Kingston coming down the arena with a gas can.
Yeah, so maybe Double or Nothing then.
No, I'm looking at the rest of this, and I think you're right with Revolution.
Okay. I don't remember any of it.
Well, here's some more stuff. Wardlow versus MJF to start the show. Marred by MJF nonsense.
Oh yeah, so then I'm probably right because that kind of started all the cloudiness.
The Hardys versus the Young Bucks. I know you were excited about this one. Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS title. House of Black versus Death Triangle. That was probably good. Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho.
I miss the random Cody matches.
Don't forget this one. American Top Team. Ethan Page.
Oh yeah,
and Paige Van
not
Zandt
Double or Nothing.
Versus
not Double or Nothing. Nope. Revolution 2022. This was probably my favorite strictly AEW pay-per-view since then. I know a lot of people love Revolution 2023. I know that's it. I think that's it. Double or Nothing this year was pretty bad.
Revolution 2023 was the Iron Man match, MJF Danielson.
Like I said, I don't count. Like this is top to bottom, also.
Sure.
I know. I guess All In counts, but All In was a great show, but it had won the cloud over it for like pretty much the whole thing.
Yep.
You know, and this is the most like just top to bottom. I was like, this is fun. This is this is AEW. You know.
But did this show, comparing it to Revolution 2023, did this show All Out have something as great as Jungle Boy Jack Perry slamming the coffin on Christian Cage, and then as soon as he does it, the coffin just falls directly into hell? Is there anything as good as that spot?
I don't know if the best thing you could have done to try to convince me was start with Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Sorry, when Christian Cage was sent to hell.
See, if you just said that, maybe I was like, you're ripping me in. Then you just said Jack.
This show definitely had the Texas Death Match versus Hangman Adam Page and John Moxley. That was great.
Yeah, like
there's stuff in there. But
Revolution was great too.
I think it was a really good to great Dynamite that extremely accelerated to a fantastic show. And I think you're right in that it was laid out really well. We didn't talk about it with All In because we forgot to. As soon as we got off the air, we talked about it. But this show as well, I think their pacing. Tony Khan talked about the pacing last week of All In. The pacing and the match lineup has gotten really good in AEW in these past two shows because in both shows, I didn't feel a lull once. And there was a long stretch of pay-per-views where there is a lull halfway during the show, and I have not felt a lull, and that's great, and that is a great asset to have for these pay-per-views, I think. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that for sure. Real quickly, I'm just going to go through so many big notes and talking points that we may have from the media scrum, because that's something we usually do in our immediate reaction reviews. He had Adam Cole on, Tony Khan in the media scrum had Adam Cole on. Literally nothing of importance in there. Christian Cage, his reaction to Adam Copeland, Edge joining AEW. He said he has no friends besides Luchasaurus, so he was in character the entire time. Chris Statlander basically wanted to wrestle everybody else and put over Orange Cassidy super well. Bryan Danielson was the more interesting one, where they talked about him sort of staying on Collision and being sort of the replacement there. He would argue now that Jon Moxley is the best wrestler in the world. You noted that, as you sort of mentioned, that BCC can straddle the line between heels or faces. He talked about the smoke and mirrors of his match, where he was not doing any strikes, never threw a single strike of his right hurt arm.
The best comment was, he was like, when Tony was like, yeah, we had Okada versus Danielson to prove who the best wrestler in the world was, and Danielson goes, and then it was Jon Moxley.
Yeah. I thought this was,
like, all right,
this is interesting, and now someone I can shift blame to, which was that Danielson traveled for a few weeks and could not keep with Khan's schedule, and they recommended that they hired Jimmy Jacobs to come in. I was like, so now Danielson's the person I can blame for that hiring.
This company is just Ring of Honor 2006.
Yeah, it's sort of become that. There was a question from Tony Khan. He talked about how he did not renew Sonny Kiss's contract, but it doesn't rule out him. I forget. I don't know the pronouns. I'm gonna say they. I don't know the pronouns off the top of my head. I apologize. Did not rule them returning at any point, just like Stu Grayson did. He talked about how the pay-per-view did somewhere 100,000 buy range, which he said to him was a success. He said that CJ Perry, aka Lana, did not sign any type of deal. Jack Perry is suspended indefinitely. He's not going to talk about Punk, which I made mention on Twitter that if Punk potentially broke any NDAs or anything, or broke some sort of agreement about this fight, I wonder if we would get any other information about Brawl Out, now that it's kind of like it doesn't matter anymore. So that would be interesting. And then again, sort of talked about how this show being a success, and obviously Wembley Stadium being a success, that he is going to continue doing back-to-back weeks moving forward. So
I do wonder what Nick Hausman's going to ask in the future, because
we all dunk on Nick Hausman, but he was asking questions.
He did ask the right questions.
He asked the right questions.
They weren't answered, but Punk, he did ask the right questions.
Perry, Adam Copeland, he asked legitimately good questions, I thought.
He did. Just CM Punk stuff's going to be tough to miss.
I agree. Well, the problem here is that we are at the 2-hour mark. Do we just forge ahead real quickly and talk about Payback?
Yeah, we can forge ahead real quick. It wasn't. I don't have that many thoughts.
The only match I did not see here was the opener yet. That was the steel cage match between Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus. Did you have any?
I thought that was the second best match of the show.
Let me go through the entire card, and then I guess we'll just do, for time's sake, just give our overall thoughts of a different.
It'll be quick.
Becky Lynch defeats Trish Stratus for the steel cage match. Afterwards, what's her face turned on Trish Stratus, or Trish Stratus turned on her. I forget what happened.
Zoe Stark.
What's
her face?
LA Knight defeated The Miz with special guest referee John Cena, where that happened with The Miz and John Cena getting a promo battle where John was like, I'm going to be the special guest referee, and then The Miz does a whole thing where it ends with John Cena being the special guest referee. Rey Mysterio defeats Austin Theory in an incredibly boring match, the U.S. title. Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and Kevin Owens defeat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to win the titles in a Steel Steady Street fight, which I thought was the match of the show. Rhea Ripley defeats Raquel Rodriguez in an incredibly boring match to me, and then Seth Rollins defeats Shinsuke Nakamura. And I will say this again: Shinsuke's not back. I'll say it. Shinsuke's not back. I didn't like this match.
I saw people blaming Seth Rollins. I was like, what? I was like, no. I think people I think people who don't watch like Shinsuke from his previous days way back, so they just blame Seth. And I was like, no. Shinsuke's been washed for like years. Okay.
I'll immediately reject that, because even if you didn't watch Shinsuke in New Japan, if you just watched him in NXT,
Yeah,
completely
he was
different, completely
he was
better.
mostly washed.
Like here it's like, oh, he is nothing. He's just a dude on the roster. It made it feel like this was a C pay-per-view if I've ever seen one. It is rough because it is, even just going to his NXT stuff, it's like he is so much more boring.
He is not him
No,
anymore.
no. Did you have any thoughts, overall thoughts about this pay per view? I had some other little bits that I want to throw in here, but any other thoughts for you?
I thought the tag title match was great.
Yeah,
I was
same.
like, it reminded me. Well, it didn't remind me, but it like really put into action like between Gunta and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like this is like the best main roster in ring year in a long time, because I feel like anytime you put those guys in a match, they're just delivering. And I'm happy they took the belts off Kevin and Sammy, because I hope that means they get like singles matches again.
Uh-huh.
But that was really good. Like I did not, I remember turning it on because I watched it the next day, and I was like, I don't really want to watch this show. I was like, I don't want to watch this show. But it ended up being really, really good. And also Becky and Trish, despite pretty much all the awfulness that I saw between them leading up to it, they really did a good job in a WWE steel cage match, nonetheless, which is just like an added difficulty most of the time. Rhea and Raquel really upset me.
Real quick about the Trish Stratus Becky Lynch match. I heard, and I have not seen it yet, but I heard that match was just them brutally attacking their faces and throwing their faces and body against the steel cage nonstop, seeming like trying to like break hard way to get some blood in this feud.
It seemed like that. Instead, Trish ended up like with this big lump on her head.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. That to me is grosser than blood.
Agreed. It is weird. It is weird that that's grosser than blood. You talk about Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. I thought Ripley looked like completely serviceable in this match. I thought Raquel's
bad.
Raquel was not there for this match.
I think Raquel has nothing. Like
she got a great back. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, has to watch that all the time. Like I think she is just so vanilla.
Yeah.
And really just doesn't bring anything to like Rhea Ripley brings the full package to the table. Obviously, that's why she's their biggest star most of the time.
Yeah.
But I was really let down because they had a good match on NXT once upon a time, way back.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, Rhea's probably like better now.
Yeah.
And I thought Raquel was probably better now. I was wrong. I was very wrong.
I think what's interesting about that is I feel like Raquel is kind of at the spot Rhea Ripley was when she first joined the main roster, where it's like she was. I'm not gonna say Raquel was great in NXT, but she was definitely at least like a lot more confident, a lot better in the ring. I thought in NXT than what we're seeing on the main roster here. And Rhea Ripley has fully come back around where she's like real great in her role. And just Raquel just not doing much here. I really cracked you up.
Absolutely right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I need you to go to WWE.com real quick.
You need me to go to WWE.com?
Yeah.
All right, let's see this.
But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. Though I think I think Rhea always had charisma in her.
Sure.
I don't know if Raquel does.
I can agree to that.
I never saw that in any form. Like I saw it in Rhea in NXT. I never saw it. Now go to the Superstar page.
Okay, Superstar page. All right, what am I looking for?
Can you scroll down?
All right, scrolling down.
Is Chelsea Green and Piper Niven?
What the fuck? Why are they taking up an entire screen?
That's what I lost it at, by the way, because I was like, "Oh, I want to see like who could face Rhea," and then that happened. I didn't care anymore. It was over. Oh,
I gotta I could probably take a screen grab video of that. I'll probably do it after the show. Wow.
You're welcome.
Didn't expect that to happen. Didn't expect
That's
that.
how we close out the show, folks.
Yeah, that's wild.
Absolute
haunting images on my screen. I'm trying to see if they're huge for a reason on their individual thing. Probably not. No,
I just don't think anyone has told them.
They're normal. I mean, is there any possibility that that's part of the Karen gimmick? Is that she wanted it to be huge?
I mean, maybe they are doing it on Raw. It's very possible. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, that's
but I think it's probably a mistake.
that's wild. That is wild. Well, yeah, let's just end the show on that. Check out WWE.com and go to that Superstars page to see the largest faces that you've ever seen on the Superstars page. I hope it's not just
nightmare fuel.
I hope it's not just us that are. I mean, I guess not. But that is
no, because the fact that you had it told me all I needed to know.
Yeah, that's unexpected for sure. Unexpected for sure. Well, that's it for us here, folks, on Ring Post Radio. We appreciate you joining us late at night. And if you weren't here late at night with us, of course, we appreciate you listening to the show wherever you get podcasts, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to the show. We appreciate you. Scotty, anything to plug? And I know it's a tough one, but what was your match of the week?
Well, I already talked about Danielson, Ricky Starks, so can't talk about that. So I will go with Sayori Uno and Natsupoi versus Suzuki and Maysair.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal tag team match from the Stardom 5-star special in Hiroshima. In terms of plugging, follow me at Scotty Wrestling on Twitter, X, whatever you prefer to call it. Still says twitter.com on my computer, so as far as I'm concerned, it's Twitter.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, an episode of Stardom Road will be recorded and out. An episode that I have yet to record and will be in the next hour.
Great to hear.
yeah. But yeah, make sure you check that out. And yeah, there's a lot of wrestling going. Actually, I think this is a calm week, thankfully. So
this is a catch-up week. This is certainly
I have a lot to catch up on. We didn't talk about Noah or anything like that, but you know, if you want to hear my thoughts about anything that's not AEW from this past weekend, I guess you can just go over to me on Twitter, because that's your best bet. It's been a long weekend of wrestling. I'm still playing catch up, as is Ryan, I'm sure. So,
oh yeah,
thank you.
My match of the week is part of my catch up, and that was from night 3 of the N1 victory.
Jesus.
And that was, I believe, it's my favorite match of the N1 so far. There's another match. There's the
what match was it?
Oh yeah, great. My favorite match of the N1, I believe, so far is Jack Morris. Maybe I'm biased. Versus Masa Kiyomiya on night 3. I thought that match was really, really good.
You watch Wagner versus Go yet?
Yes, I also thought that match was really, really good. I think I gave a slight edge just maybe because of bias or whatever. But I thought that match was also really good. I also want to give the shout out to night 2, which was Go Shiozaki versus Yuman Zai. I thought that was also really, really good. And
had a really good tournament.
And a great match for Yuman Zai to have. You know, a 21 minute like epic main event style with Go Shiozaki.
Go winning this tournament felt right.
Yeah. Yeah, I if everyone fully expected Kano, despite everyone fully expecting Kano, instead we get this.
If Go loses, Kano's clearly winning the belt because he beat Jake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but I would prefer Go because Go seems healthy, and I don't know how many times we're gonna get that. So just ride the wave, baby.
I agree. You can follow me on Twitter at RyanIC. Like he said, you can follow Scotty at Scott E Wrestling. The whole networks on Twitter at CountOutPod. And again, we'll do a little plug here as well. Patreon.com/CountOutPod. $3 tier, $5 tier. I'll be uploading those listen alongs to the $3 tier, which will be available obviously on the $5 tier if you wanted to at some point, hopefully this week. But of course, we have a bunch of other series that you're sending me a picture of Senor Money in the Bank. Is that new?
That's Damien. That's Damien
Priest's new. Nice. Senor Money in the Bank. And it's blue. Good.
Maybe the worst custom Money in the Bank briefcase I've ever seen, because it's just a purple briefcase with a sticker on
it. They don't want to lose the Money in the Bank briefcase brand
logo. Yeah.
That really something.
Remember when they used to make those?
Yeah.
Didn't Sam had a sick one?
He had a briefcase, right?
He had a full on like briefcase. Someone had a good one too. Most of them just did their logos.
Yeah.
But
all right. But again, patreon.com/counterpod to finish out that plug. A bunch of great stuff. Drop your shorts. Ryan hasn't seen anything. We have the latest episode.
Shorts.
The latest episode of Ryan hasn't seen anything. El Hijo del Santo versus Negro Casas versus El Dandy. And that was a doozy. I'll tell you that much. So go check out that much. A bunch of other content on the Patreon. Again, check out the Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. If you even just join the $3 tier or whatever. Helps out everyone in the network. Not just me, or not just Scotty, or not just anyone else, but everyone else in the network. But obviously, it also helps us out. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us on Ring Post Radio. If you have any other things, let us know, and we'll talk to you next week.